I use a lot of fragrances throughout the course of a month, but my current favorite fragrances are the ones I'm enjoying a bit more than the rest. Hi, hope you're all well. Welcome. Before I begin, please drop a like on this video. Thank you. I really do appreciate it, and make sure you hit that subscribe. So I use a lot of fragrances throughout the course of a month, usually at least 2 a day and sometimes more. At least 1 in the morning and 1 later in the day. Add 1 extra on workout days simply because I always spray something on after the post-workout shower. I rarely plan what I'll be wearing and often go by a combination of mood and occasion. But these are some of the fragrances I've been reaching for a bit more than the rest, and I've got some fantastic bangers in this video. So first up we have the new Armani Acqua Elixir. I'm gonna link to my first impressions of it above, so make sure you check that video out. This has quickly become one of my absolute favorites. This is the darker, less fresh and sexier version of Acqua and Acqua Elixir in a way sort of reminds me of something like a mix of something from Acqua Parfum, and something in it reminds me, gives me a sense of vibes, but less intensely fresh, with violet and soft leather to it. This has gone on to become a love for me, and I highly recommend to check out my video, my first impressions of it. In that video, I do mention that I think the price of it for 50 ml was too high, and I've already seen that they dropped the price on this, so now it's a bit cheaper, and I actually really do not like when they introduce a fragrance at quite high prices and then just a few weeks after lower the prices. But with that said, I'm definitely going to buy a second bottle of it when they lower the price a bit more. This is definitely one of my favorite Acqua and it's without a single doubt the sexiest Acqua. I recently bought Club de Nuit Precieux. I'm gonna link to my video, my first impressions of it above, so feel free to check it out. I mean, I absolutely love that Creed Aventus DNA, and there are a ton of clones and dupes of it out there. But I do feel this one stands out with how incredibly smooth it is, its performance as well, but this isn't quite Creed Aventus. And in a way, I also don't feel it's quite or super close to the previous ones. This, at least to my nose, is almost like a fusion of the limited edition and Creed Aventus, but with a more focus on something that is quite fruity and sweet. This is basically like a big but smooth dose of fruitiness with that famous pineapple, together with quite a prominent dose of sweetness and soft woodiness. This is absolutely gorgeous, and Club de Nuit Precieux has quickly gone on to become one of my favorites. And to me, Club de Nuit Precieux is something that I will be reaching for when I want that sort of a Creed Aventus or Club de Nuit DNA that's less fresh, with a different kind of sexiness. So next up we have this thing right here, and I absolutely love it. This is Prada L'Homme Intense, and this is basically like the slightly less fresh version of Prada L'Homme, and instead of that freshness, there's a prominent dose of woodiness, soft leather and vanilla. So this is basically powdery, woody, softly leathery with a soft touch of vanilla. Prada L'Homme Intense is definitely one of the absolute finest from Prada, and one I bought a backup bottle of. So next up we have a new fragrance that I recently bought. I'm gonna link to my Kenzo Homme first impressions video above, so feel free to check it out. Kenzo Homme Indigo basically has that unique Kenzo aquatic freshness with iris in the opening and a dry down that's softly leathery with a bit of woodiness. This is gorgeous. Now I'm absolutely obsessed, in love with that Kenzo, what is to me unique Kenzo aquatic freshness. Now I know some people absolutely hate it, but I think it's fantastic, and you basically get that in here together with a bit of powderness in the opening. Now I wish that powderness would have lasted longer, even though I wish that iris would last longer. I still really enjoy this, and this is definitely one of my current favorites. If you love that Kenzo aquatic freshness and think you would enjoy it together with a bit of powderness and soft leather and soft woodiness, then this is definitely something you should check out. This is another one that to me is intoxicating, smooth but intense, like intense but smooth, lemony freshness together with an intoxicating dose of vanilla and a super creamy dose of sandalwood. So lemony freshness, sexy vanilla with a creamy dose of woodiness to it. Chanel has created quite a few bangers, but I do think they absolutely nailed it with Allure Edition Blanche and Allure Sport O Extreme. This is an absolute banger and a fragrance I've reached for a bit more than the rest. So I'm not sure you can see this, but I'm over halfway through my bottle of Myslf Le Parfum. This one quickly went on to become one of my favorites, and the way I've been using the Parfum since I bought it, I'm probably gonna put quite a dent to it quite soon. And it basically keeps that fantastic dose of orange blossom. However, I do feel they sort of tone it down if you compare it to the orange blossom in the OG Eau de Parfum. And they basically tone down the freshness in the Parfum, so you don't get that intense dose of freshness that you get in the Eau de Parfum, and replace it with a more intense dose of woodiness and a dose of vanilla. I know some people absolutely hate these two, but I think both are fantastic. I do, however, enjoy the scent of orange blossom, and this is basically the one I spray on when I want that orange blossom in a more fresh way, and the Parfum when I want that orange blossom in a slightly warmer and sexier way. This is a fragrance I've been enjoying a lot lately. So it doesn't matter what part of the year it is, I always reach for what I call a sort of everyday fragrance, quite a balanced kind of fragrance, and I've been reaching for this a bit more than the rest lately. This is a gorgeous dose of woodiness together with a bit of soft musk and a bit of freshness. And there's this almost resinous kind of scent to it, which I think is fantastic, and what I think in a way makes this quite a unique one. Definitely one of the best sort of everyday kind of fragrances that just work for any occasion throughout the year. So I recently bought Valentino Uomo Born in Roma Extra Dose. I'm gonna link to my first impressions of it above, so feel free to check it out. This is basically lavender with a bit of woodiness and quite a spicy kind of opening. I absolutely love the scent of lavender, and this is definitely a good fragrance. I do enjoy Extra Dose. There's absolutely nothing bad about this fragrance, but I was a bit underwhelmed. But after I bought it and used it, I got reminded of how much I enjoy this thing right here, which I'm not sure if you can see this, but I put quite a dent to it. These two sort of remind me of each other, but whereas Extra Dose goes in a more woody direction with lavender and a bit of spiciness, this pretty much goes all in on an aromatic and citrusy kind of freshness. I've used Extra Dose a little bit and will most likely start to enjoy it a bit more later on, but right now I've been reaching for Rockstud Noir quite a bit. It's a bit hard to describe exactly what it is about Rockstud Noir that I enjoy so much, but there's an intensity behind its aromatic freshness that I really enjoy. Now I would love to know how you feel about Rockstud Noir. I, for some reason, rarely hear anyone mention it in my comments, and I'm curious on what you think of Extra Dose. So I don't talk about Escentric O2 that often, because I mostly use this for layering, and when I use it for layering, it basically adds a really nice dose of freshness, woodiness and musk to whatever I add it to. This to me is woody, fresh and musky in a way that I think is hard to go wrong with. Now I've been using this quite a bit on its own lately, but I can highly also recommend it for layering. Next up we have one of my fragrances for life. It's one of my absolute favorite sweet tobacco focused fragrances, and this is basically a mix of sweetness, tobacco, together with that sexy sort of a signature Parfums de Mali vanilla. Herod is pretty much all about sexy sweet vanilla with what is probably the most intoxicating kind of tobacco scent I ever put my nose to. This is absolutely gorgeous and a fragrance I've been reaching for a bit more than the rest lately. So I have not bought every Salvatore Ferragamo fragrance out there, but out of the ones I have, this is probably my absolute favorite, and this is basically like a mix of quite a mass appealing dose of leather, smooth leather, together with a dose of fresh spiciness, a fantastic dose of aromatic freshness, and it's a bit woody. Now I'm not sure what it is about this fragrance that I find that it, to me, is quite intoxicating, but I think it might be the combo of saffron and clary sage. And when it comes to leather focused fragrances, I do feel that spicy leather is one of the best if you're just starting out. And I also feel that spicy leather is one of the most sort of a versatile leather focused scents. So this Kilian Angel Share is absolutely epic and one of my fragrances for life. And this, in a way, could be described as Kilian Angel Share but without that sort of a signature intense booziness and intense woodiness. So this, in a way, is like Angel Share Light, and I reach for Sand Desert at Sunset Intense when I want something that gives me quite strong Angel Share vibes, but in a lighter and more versatile way. The dent is getting bigger and bigger, and I do think that Sand Desert at Sunset Intense is one of the sort of a closest ones to Angel Share without actually being exactly like it. And I do think Sand Desert at Sunset Intense is one of the best from Zara. So there you go, these are some of my current favorites that I've been reaching for a bit more than the rest lately. Now I would absolutely love to know, what are your current favorites? Let me know in the comments below. Please drop a like on this video. Thank you, I really do appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe and make sure you check out my videos over there.